In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to day trade using Mumu. This episode will be a platform demo. We're going to walk you through all the windows, the layouts, and the features of Mumu. And at the end of the episode, I will give Mumu a Ross score, and I'll tell you whether or not I would use this broker with real money. Now, Mumu is a commission-free broker, and it's a relatively new broker. Well, compared to some of the brokers that have been on the scene for forever, like Charles Schwab or Fidelity. But Mumu, I would say, is a really direct competitor to brokers like Robinhood and Webull. Like Webull, it is a Chinese company. They have branches, of course, internationally, and they've got a United States branch, so US traders can use Mumu. You're not opening an account in China, but they are owned by a Chinese holding company, which is something that some people don't like, but personally, I don't have a huge problem with. So when I first opened up the Mumu platform, I have to say immediately, it's so much better than Robinhood. So if Robinhood is one of the competitors, already they've blown them out of the water. Now, Robinhood is a broker that I did my broker review of, and they had the worst score of any platform that I've reviewed. So Robinhood is the very bottom. So it's not, I suppose, saying a lot to say that they're better than Robinhood, but it really is quite nice. Now, I will compare and contrast Mumu with Webull quite a bit during this episode because I think it's probably the most close competitor that you might be considering if you're thinking about considering opening an account with Mumu. So one of the things I'll tell you when you first get this set up, this is desktop software. You can download it right on the Mumu website, and they make it super easy. I mean, you just go to the website right here, and you could download Mumu just like that. Boom, you download it, and you can install it on your machine. So it's very easy to set up. It's quite intuitive to use, and I appreciate that a lot. And you don't have to fund an account to download the software and to start testing it out, which is also really nice because you can kind of get in there and see, like, is this going to work for me before you go and actually create the account, fund it, and everything else. So when I first logged in, one of the things that I noticed is that Mumu is kind of leaning into being a combination of like a broker and also sort of like its own social media platform. Like they have a big kind of community aspect, although I'm always a little skeptical about a platform's ability to create that, especially when it comes to the financial markets, because you get a lot of misinformation out there with, people pumping penny stocks and stuff like that. So you've got to be a little careful in communities, but nonetheless, they do have down here, they've got chats, and they have a whole message board, community posts and stuff like that. So that's kind of interesting. Trading View has something similar, and other brokers do as well. But anyway, something that I noted kind of very like right away, like with my profile picture and stuff like that. So when I first logged in, I was on markets right here, this tab. And I was like, okay, I'm looking at the tab and I'm like, all right, I can kind of get my head around this. This is a nice looking platform. I like the dark theme. I like the layout, but I realized that this for me, I wouldn't really want to be on here because this doesn't really have all the stuff that I would typically like. So I said, I think, and I'm not really doing options, news. Okay, that's fine. Screeners. Okay, that's fine. We can come back to that. Algo. Yes. Discover. And I decided to go to custom and create my own layout. That's typically what I do on most platforms. And so when you go to custom and you create your own layout, you can have this little button in the top corner where you can start adding widgets. So now you click the widget and you've got a widget menu for quotes, which is watch list, quote summary, charts, trade stats, ticks, order book, options chain, options calculator, money flow, and clock. And then you have the trade menu where you've got trade, options, trade, account details, orders, positions, trade history, and today's trades. So I used all of this to essentially create the window that you have right here. And this is typically what my trading platform looks like. This is my Webull platform, just as comparison. I don't have any positions open right now, but you can kind of see what this looks like. So I usually have my order history and my positions over on the left. Oh, I actually do have one position on Ford, one share I'm still holding. But anyways, the chart, then the level 2 window, which is the depth of market, the time and sales. And then on Webull, your order entry window is humongous. Now you can make it a little bit smaller, but you can't really make it too short before you lose the buy button. See that? And Mumu is really similar. So over on Mumu, you've got this kind of, we'll go back to full screen. You've got this trade window right here, and this is the shortest I could make it. So it's kind of a tall window. By comparison, Lightspeed Trading, which is the broker I use on a day-to-day basis, this is how big the trade window is. It's tiny. And then this is how big my level 2 window is right there. Boom. So I'm able to be a lot more efficient with my use of space. And as a result, I can fit 4 level 2 windows and order entry windows in the same amount of space that here on Mumu and Webull, for that matter, I'm only fitting 1. So use of space is important. Screen real estate, we've only got so much of it, but in any case, so that's one observation. So when I first got this set up, I pulled out the trade window, I pulled out the order book, and I've got the ticks. Now the ticks is the time and sales, but they call it ticks. Most platforms call it time and sales, but they're calling it ticks. The order book is not complete because I haven't subscribed to the level 2 data. So it's just showing you basically level 1 data, the top of the book. And my first, maybe my second observation is that in addition to the trade window being quite large, the order book is not something you can customize. I can't right click this and go into settings and sort of adjust the specific settings for this window. I can't change the font. I can't change the color. I can't change the style. It is what it is. You get what they offer. And that's a little bit, that's true of Robinhood, but on Webull, you actually do get some settings that you can customize on your market depth right here. So you can go into market depth, you can go to appearance, you could change it to red and green, you could change it to multicolor. So, that's a little bit. You could change the data feed you're subscribed to. Look, honestly, it probably doesn't make a huge difference, but it's just something that I noted, and maybe you might note as well. So that's my order book for market depth, level 2. That's my trade window, and those are my ticks. Now, all of these windows are linked together to the number 1. So that means if I update the stock here, GV, then, I type in GV, I press enter. It's going to update the level 2, the trade window, and my charts. They're also linked to item 1. So when it comes to charting, I would say the charting is not bad. One thing that I note is that when you try to zoom in, it zooms on the point that you're at, which I sometimes find a little bit difficult because I tend to look at a chart like this and I want to zoom in, but I don't want to zoom in on the current point. I just want to zoom in essentially like this. So anytime I zoom, I expect it to go like this. But on Mumu, when you're on an actual candle, it zooms into the candle. So that's not the same with other platforms, and that's a small functionality note. Webull does the same thing where you zoom in on that individual candle. So zooming is by the candle, and I find it to be a little bit difficult. You can track sideways in Webull, which is kind of nice. Over on Mumu, if you try track sideways right here, it doesn't work that way. And then over on Day Trade Dash, which is the software that I've built out with my development team, we have it so when you zoom, it always zooms basically fixed to the point of zooming into the whole chart, which for me, I just like. But I will say that the ability to zoom on the axis here is also something that you can click and drag, and you could do that with Mumu. So it's not bad. The charts are not bad. The one disadvantage with the charts is that the fastest time frame is 1 minute. All right, so now that's another kind of, little win for Webull, because you go to Webull and you go to time frames, and let's see, where's the time frame? Down here. So let's see, on Webull, our shortest time frame is 1 second, 5 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. That's pretty awesome. But unfortunately, you don't get that over with Mumu. So for traders that want to use 10-second, 15-second time frames, you're not going to get that. But you do get all your indicators. I mean, there's no issue with the indicators. You get all of that. And for the most part, the charts are quite accurate. They work well, and I really take no issue with them. I think they're good, just except for those little minor items. And the scaling, you kind of would get used to, so not the end of the world. But the 10-second chart is something that I do use in my trading, so that would be a little bit of a deal breaker for Mumu. Okay, so this is my broker comparison sheet right now with 18 different broker dealers, and Mumu is right here. This is where I kind of put it just for right now. Webull is over here, Robinhood is down here. And so high level, the couple things that we've already reviewed have been that you don't get 10-second charts. The slowest time frame is 1 minute. which is not ideal. And the level 2 is not as customizable as I would like. So this little section down here, these are some of what I think are the most important features that I need in trading software. And by the way, my name's Ross Cameron. I'm a full-time trader. I've been doing this for a long time. I funded my first account in 2001. So over the past 20 plus years, I've traded with dozens of different brokers and on dozens of different platforms. So I have a really good sense of exactly what I need from a platform in order to extract profit from the market with consistency. My focus is trading fast-moving stocks. I find them on stock scanners, and I like to buy the first pullback. I would say my go-to setup is trading micro pullbacks, and I'll actually put a link, I'll pin it to the top of the comments and in the description, where you can download my micro pullback strategy as a PDF if you want to learn more about the way I trade every day. So for my strategy, level 2 is critical. And yes, they have level 2 at Mumu, but you can't customize it the way I would like. I need hotkeys. So now let's talk about how to set up hotkeys on Mumu. So on Mumu, if you go to your profile here and you go to settings, you will see shortcuts. And then the shortcuts are the hotkeys. So again, they use shortcuts instead of hotkeys, but it's fine. If you go over to trade, this is what you get. You can create a hotkey, Shift 1 to buy, Control Z to sell. Well, it actually won't let me do that right now. Alt Z to sell. So you can create hotkeys here, but it's just buy and sell. So what you would note is that what this would essentially do is it'll execute orders based on what you've already typed in. So you have to manually type in the price and the stock that you're looking at. Whereas over on Webull, if you go into Webull and you go down to hotkeys and you go to settings and you go to trade, it's very similar, but you go to hotkey settings, you can go create a hotkey right here. We'll do custom buy order. So I'll do a buy order hotkey and check this out. You could say the number of shares you want to buy, 100 shares. You could say you want to get in at the last price or at the ask price with a 5-cent offset. It's a day order, included extended hours. And then you set this to, Shift 8 or whatever the case is, and all of a sudden you've got your buy order just like that. And this works to me so much better. Then when you want to sell, you can put a sell order out here to sell half of your position, 50% of the position, 10 cents below the bid. So there's no question that Webull gives you much more flexibility and ability to customize your hotkeys than you get at Mumu. So if we pull up our broker comparison sheet again here, Mumu, it gets yes, but very limited. In fact, their hotkeys are on par with what you get with Thinkorswim over at Charles Schwab. Similar to Interactive Brokers, IBKR Lite. Like, yes, you get something, but it, for me, is not sufficient. You do not get offsets, where you can offset the order above or below the current price. You can't sell based on a position, a percentage of your position, like 50% or 25%. But you do get halt resumption or halt levels. So you can see the prices where a stock is going to be halted. So for instance, here on GV, we could see on Lightspeed Trading, LULD, this will halt at $9.84 going up and $8.05 going down. These are circuit breaker halts, also known as volatility trading halts. So it's important to know where those levels are, because if you were about to, be in a halt, you'd sure like to know about it, because you won't be able to buy or sell the stock for a period of 5 minutes. Now, when you're trading a highly volatile security like GV, it's very possible that you could be in a halt. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you need to know where those levels are. So based on my 5 most important data points that a platform needs to have, they really only meet one of them. Level 2, but it's not customizable. So they meet like 1.5. The hotkeys don't even count. They don't have advanced order routing. In fact, all of the orders are smart routed. They do accept Canadian customers, which is nice. And the platform market data is free, which is nice. And they do have international locations. And the charting, I'll say actually, is yes, very good, except no sub 1 minute timeframes. Forgot to add that in there. So no sub 1 minute timeframes, which is unfortunate. Now, I will say that you could trade from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m., which is nice, and a lot of people do really like that. But another interesting note is that they only offer 2 times leverage. So a lot of brokers offer 4 times leverage, but they're currently only offering 2 times leverage, which is not ideal. Now, Mumu is a commission-free broker. And because they're a commission-free broker, they are on par with a lot of the other brokers in the United States. And that's what leads most traders to assume that they participate in payment for order flow. So does Mumu, in fact, receive payment for order flow? They say they do not. And they say it right on their website that they do not receive payment for order flow from the orders that are placed by their clients. But what is interesting, and I have an article here from NerdWallet, they state that, and they confirm this on their website here with payment for order flow, you or the clearing broker may receive payments from markets for directing orders to them. However, Mumu does not itself receive payment for order flow. So what they essentially say is that Mumu does not accept payment for order flow, but its clearing firm, the clearing broker, Futu Clearing, which is owned by the same company as Mumu, quote, may receive payment for order flow or rebates. So that's a little confusing. Mumu is owned by Futu Holdings, which is a Chinese company, and Futu Holding owns Mumu, and they own Futu Clearing. So Futu Clearing and Mumu are closely related. They're, Futu Clearing is a subsidiary of Futu Holdings, and et cetera, et cetera. So for that reason, some people naturally have been a little skeptical about what the exact relationship is, but they say they don't receive payment for order flow. So I'm sure that is the case, but their clearing firm may. So if the clearing firm is getting the profit, then there's still profit from payment for order flow, probably. That's what it sounds like to me. And again, that's my interpretation, and that's the interpretation that is also sort of expressed on this NerdWallet review. So in any case, they are a commission-free broker, which is great, but they don't state what price improvement you would get. So here's the thing. Brokers that engage in payment for order flow have to disclose the price improvement that customers receive and the execution time that average orders take to execute on the market. But Mumu doesn't engage in payment for order flow. So they don't disclose price improvement and they don't disclose execution time. So now that's kind of tricky because when we're comparing apples to apples over at Webull and over at Robinhood, we get that data, but we don't get it with Mumu. So we're kind of left scratching our heads a little bit about how much payment for order flow price improvement you might get. NerdWallet states that 95.58% of the orders executed at the NBBO price or better, but that's lower than the average execution quality among other brokers that they've reviewed. So I do find that to be a bit interesting as well. And so that's just something that you're kind of left with, not knowing. Now, I did not fund an account with Mumu and take test trades. And the reason I didn't do that is because for me, at the end of the day, Mumu is not a broker that I would be able to use for my strategy. It's not a contender. And the reason it's not a realistic contender is because it doesn't meet these 5 criteria right here. So these brokers all meet it. And because this doesn't, for that reason, it's just not a platform that I would consider using with real money. So I give it a raw score of 4.9. Anything below a 5, I wouldn't use with real money. I think that it could be a good platform for some traders getting started, potentially. But honestly, I think Webull is better. Webull gives you hotkeys. They give you the offsets. The platform is better. I mean, it's just like it has more features. It's a more robust and developed platform. So I think Webull is better. They're both Chinese companies. So, if you have a problem with Mumu being Chinese, well, you'll have the same problem with Webull being Chinese. But Webull is a better platform. Now, their order execution speed is not as good as some of the other brokers that I have done platform demos of. However, I will say that when it comes to Webull execution speed, the execution quality varies substantially based on your order size. So when you scroll down here, orders between 0 and 99 shares are by far the slowest, and orders between above 10,000 shares are also slower. So orders between 100 shares and orders between 2,000 and 10,000 shares are actually pretty darn fast. So 2,000 to 10,000 shares is kind of their sweet spot in terms of execution speed. And in terms of price improvement, you get the best price improvement when you're trading smaller size. That is true. And it decreases as you go up, but that's also consistent with other brokers. So I would say if you're day trading my strategy, trading small caps, trading fast moving stocks, like something perhaps what we see in the background here on GV, and I'll back this up just for a moment. So, we'll go all the way to the back. So pull this back forward. So a stock like GV that's very volatile, very fast moving, this is a stock where you need hotkeys. You need to be able to see the market quickly and react instantly with those hotkeys. And you're just going to be disappointed if you're trading anything that doesn't have that. So when you're trading these types of stocks, which I think are the right type of stocks for retail traders to be focusing on because they experience volatility, and that's what we need to grow small accounts, I just fear that a broker like Mumu wouldn't make the cut. So for me, it gets a score of 4.9. I'm curious to hear your opinions for those of you guys who have been using Mumu. And for those who would like to see me do another platform demo of a broker I haven't already done, feel free to list it down in the comments. And as always, if you want to check out my micro pullback strategy, that PDF is linked to the top of the comments. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you for my next upload real soon.